Those that have forged the crown have returned. The Ifrit have risen from their underground kingdom to burn and consume all people with their fiery flames. Hello and welcome to the Friday Fantasy Show from the Bottled Imp.
Exploring the realms of fantasy.
My name is Ken Boyter and today we are looking at another expansion for Talisman. This one is the Firelands, and as you can see, this is a mini one. Well, not that mini, it's a mini one. This means that there's no board, but there's lots of other stuff, and presumably it's all flamey. The Firelands for Talisman 4th edition revised. You do need the base game in order to play this. I'll point that out. So obviously you need Talisman, the base game, the 4th edition revised. So let's crack on. What's in the box? Well, I shall tell you what's in the box. Well, I'll tell you what isn't in the box, as you can see here. There is a board that we're going to be doing, which is the base game board, and we're going to use that for demonstration purposes. But in the little mini box is this rule sheet right here, which gives you all the information you need in order to play this expansion. You have 81 adventure cards, you have 19 spell cards, you have 3 alternate ending cards. You also have the 4 plastic figures. Now mine are painted, as you can see. Hopefully they're good quality. No, they're not. They're all right quality. That I paint. They do come unpainted, so obviously if you enjoy painting them, fill your boots. And they do also have their own character cards as well. Plus you get 34 of these fire tokens, and you also get 19 terrain cards. Now, with all of the expansions, what they've done is they've been very clever, because each expansion has a little symbol on it, and this one has a little flame. And every single thing, every element to do with each expansion will have their own little symbol on it. In this case, a flame, because it's the Firelands, which means that if you integrate your expansion into the base game, then if you kind of don't want to play with any of the expansions, you know, for a particular game, you can then quickly take them all out because you'll just recognize the symbol of which expansion you're trying to search for. So that's very clever. So well done, Talisman makers, Fantasy Flight. So let's crack on. Now the main thing with the Firelands is, as you probably guessed, it's all about burning, scorching and destruction through flame. So during the course of the game, you will be instructed by the adventure cards to place certain terrain cards on the board. Now these are the terrain cards, and they're various locations. This one's the woods, and we've also got the hills, and let's see what this one is, also the hills. Let's see if I can get something slightly different. Oh, and there's a desert. And there are various other ones that are in the deck as well. And what you do is, when you're instructed to draw one of these, it may say just draw the top one at random, or it might specifically say you need to place a woods or a hills or a desert or whatever type it is onto a particular square that you might be in. So what you do is, obviously if you're in the fields, for example, it may instruct you to draw a woods card and place it there. And what that means is that any information that's on that fields space is ignored. It's no longer the fields. Any instructions that the fields give you, ignore them. They're now replaced by whatever the instructions are on the terrain card. Now in this case, they are exactly the same. So the fields is draw one card, the woods is draw one card. But it does change the nature of the space, so that's woods. So if you've got a special ability that helps you out in the woods, then obviously you can do it in these temporary locations as well. There are occasions where the terrain cards will get taken away because they're going to be destroyed as well. And in that case, you just will simply remove them and put them back into the deck. Other things that you may need to know, it's worth remembering that it's not just the sort of draw one card spaces that are affected. If, for example, you're in the chapel and it says, you know, put a terrain card here, that chapel is no longer a chapel, that's destroyed, and it is a woods, so you won't be able to gain all the effects of the chapel. Equally, If it happens at the Sentinel, which ordinarily you need to fight in order to get up to the next region, if that's burnt and gone and it becomes the woods or another terrain card, then you can just simply move up. You don't need to fight the Sentinel because it's no longer there. And that also applies to the Portal of Power. Now the Portal of Power is obviously when you go up to the middle region, and here, if it's instructed to burn that and put a terrain card, again, you ignore anything that you need to do for the Portal of Power. You don't need to test your abilities to get through. You will just simply move up. And equally, normally you have to have, if you have a Warlock's quest, you have to complete it. The Warlock wants you to complete it before you can go up to the through the Portal of Power. But of course, if it's not there, he doesn't know about it, so you can just freely move up with uncompleted quests. So that is the terrain cards. Then, equally, because it's about fire, there is these little fire tokens, and these can be very, very dangerous indeed, because what happens is, if again one of the adventure cards says you need to place a fire token on the space that you are in, if you end your turn where a fire token is, you automatically lose 1 life. And of course, you know, if you only start with 4 lives, that can get quite dangerous quite quickly. So if you land on it, you don't lose it straight away, your life. There are things that you can remove these fire tokens, certain spells or even certain adventure deck cards can actually remove these. So again, it's within your interest to avoid these or have some way of counteracting that. Now, with the adventure deck, you will simply take these and you will shuffle them into the base game adventure deck and any other adventure deck with this type of background, because that then forms the big adventure decks that you will then draw when it says draw 1 card. And there's certain things called burning effect. Now, there may be spells or even events that say you need to burn X amount of cards. Now it might say take the top 5 cards and burn them. So you will simply look through the top 5 cards, if that's the example, and you burn them by putting them in the discard pile. And what happens, or is it out of the game? Not 100% sure of that. It might be out of the game because they're completely burned. Anyway, they're no longer of use. You can't actually pick them up. They're burnt. But some cards have a little symbol. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but it's just there. And that means that they're burn proof. So anything that has that symbol on is burn proof. So the flames don't burn them. They don't affect that card. And equally, you'll have spells that may say, you know, you need to burn X amount of cards. And again, that only applies to cards, and that can be anything, objects, followers, anything. But if they have the burn proof mark, it doesn't matter, they're safe. Then what you have to do is, obviously before you start the game, you need to decide the alternate ending that you're going to choose. You get 3 alternate ending cards. And as you can see, this one has a little star in the corner. And these ones that you get with this expansion have little moons on them. And what that means is you will decide whether you're going to play revealed or hidden alternate ending cards. And if you're playing revealed, then you will select one, and you can select any from other expansions. And if that is the case, then you simply place it in the middle of the board, or we put it in the middle of the board, or you can put it to the side of the board. But everybody knows the end conditions of actually how you win the game. So all of these alternate endings are different winning conditions. If, however, you don't want to know what that is because you can start strategizing, if you want a bit of mystery, a bit of surprise, then you will take the ones with the moons in the corner and then shuffle those, and then you just randomly select them face down. It's not revealed, and therefore you don't know, so it becomes a surprise, and obviously that could be more exciting if you want to play it that way. We also have 4 new characters. Oh yes, we have the Dervish, we have the Warlord, we have the Nomad, and we also have, yes, I was just double checking how you pronounce his name, Jin-blooded, or Yin-blooded, not 100% sure, but whatever, he's blooded, I tell you. So they're really cool, and obviously they come with their own special abilities. And as I say, I paint these. These are actually unpainted when they first arrive. And that is pretty much the mini expansion, the Firelands. Now my overall thoughts are, yes, it is very good. It's very simple to integrate. There's not too much going on in terms of rules to learn. And it makes the board really volatile because there's new terrains coming, things, you know, you might want to go and visit the village, but oh look, it's been burned or turned into the woods or the hills or the desert. You can no longer go there. So it causes more problems for you, and it might slow you down in trying to power up. And I also like the fact that you've got these little fire tokens, because again, it makes the terrain a lot more dangerous because your life becomes so valuable. Trust me, you don't want to be landing on these little fire tokens, because, you know, if you've only got 4, as I say, to start with, your character can die pretty quickly. Plus, I love the theming of this. Every single element to this is very well themed. You know, the fact that they're being scorched, so there's new terrain that happens. All the spells correlate to something to do with burning or flame proof, that kind of thing, or the Ifrit. You know, there's no slack here. Everything is themed. The adventure cards are themed, and also there's little trinkets in here as well. And trinkets are objects that don't count towards your carrying capacity. So overall, I really, really love this one. It's one of my favourite little mini expansions, I think, because it is so simple, yet it does so much damage, and it really does affect the base game and how it actually plays. So if you're thinking of getting a little mini expansion, yeah, this one will be high up on my list to get. Really enjoy it. The theme is fantastic, and it brings a new kind of exotic flavour to Talisman. It kind of changes the whole feel to it, because obviously it's flames, and the Ifrit is something slightly different. And you really do feel like the whole realms are actually under attack by an invasion of people that you haven't heard of before. And these are the ones apparently that have forged the crown. So maybe they're back for revenge. So there we go. That's Talisman, the Firelands expansions. Yeah, check it out. Definitely recommend it. The Firelands expansion for Talisman 4th edition. Thoroughly enjoyed it. As I say, it is one of my favourites because it is quick. It's not too complicated. Absolutely loved it. Hopefully you enjoyed that little review of the game. And remember, we do other Talisman expansions, and obviously we've reviewed the base game. Plus we do lots of other board game reviews and films and books, and well, I've even started to do a writing fantasy series as well. So you can check that out all on our YouTube channel. Plus, of course, we've got Facebook and social media. Spread the word of the Bottled Imp. Bye! I kind of regret doing the bye. Oh well, I've done it again.